One deep breath. All the music in this game is fantastic. I love it. All of them. Everything. Everything about this game is great. Alright, let's see. What are we doing? Oh, well, this got really depressing. Yeah, I was on the mask because I was trying to look at something. Anyway, same day, unspecified time, the Fresno Street apartment. Why was he here? In this little corner of a cheap lodging house town outside of London, in a back alley with little foot traffic. An old, dusty room for rent was the crime scene. So this is the room where Greg-sama was murdered. Yeah, and it looks like the police investigation has just begun in earnest. I don't see Holmes-san around. Might be conducting a different sort of investigation. Hey! You there! What are you doing? You better pull out all the drawers, dump them out, and investigate their undersides too. Make sure you search the space under the ceiling and among the ashes in the fireplace too. Oh, honestly, haven't any of you ever turned over an empty house for cash after a moonlight flit? Moonlight flit. Gina-san seems to be directing a very unique sort of investigation. Oh, finally decided to show, did you? I just arrived myself. Hi there, Gina-san. You just miss Holmes. He's really mucked things up. He appeared as suddenly as the wind, messed the crime scene up like the wind, and vanished again like the wind. What? He already finished his investigation here? Even I didn't feel like I could say anything to him. Gina-san, do you mind if we investigate the crime scene too? Say, Naruhodō, you're a defense attorney, right? Yeah, that's right. You wouldn't be planning on helping the Grim Reaper, helping the killer, would you? I think that's inevitable because it's Ace Attorney. What? Gina-san. Looks like she still hasn't managed to put that trial behind her. A word, if I may, Gina-sama. If Lord Van Zieks really is the murderer, I believe the British judicial system will judge him according to his crime. I guess you're right. Investigate, Naruhodō! I want to know what really happened. Thank you so much, Gina-san. A fireplace with no fire always looks so cold, doesn't it? This fireplace appears to have a thick layer of dust on it. I'd venture a guess that it hasn't been used in a long time. In other words, the person who lives in this room is abnormally resistant to the cold. Either that, or they didn't live here at all, and only visited when they had something they needed to do. One of the two. Yeah, it's gotta be one of the two. Oh, there's a standing picture frame here. Perhaps it contains a photo of Gregson-sama's family? What's wrong? Your eyes look like they might pop out of their sockets. This is... Naruhodō-sama, look at this! Quickly! Ooh? Huh? Why do I get the feeling that I've seen her somewhere? Pull yourself together! We just met her! No! This is Dane Watch on. I can't say that, that's so... I know what you're trying to say with that pun, but it's like, I can't pronounce it. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce it. And now my dogs are fighting. But what's a photo of her doing here? to be honest. That's the part about this crime scene that's the most baffling to me. Yes, I suppose so. A framed photo found on a desk at the crime scene. A photo of a younger Mrs. Danwatch smiling. This appears to be a partitioning screen. It's got papers plastered all over it. Look at this! Naruhodō-sama. Every day I'm watching. His name is a pun. Yeah, day I'm watching. Damn. It's really hard to say it really fast, Ikari. I get what you're trying to say, but it just comes out weird when I'm trying to say it. Yeah, it's like and his first name is Everett, so it's every day I'm watching. That's beautiful though. I do like it though, what you were going for. This is an autopsy report. No, you're fine. You're fine. And these are investigative materials. Even records of inmates currently in prison. I'm just bad at English, don't worry about it. They all look like the sorts of things only a detective could get their hands on, don't they? What the heck is this room? There are newspaper clippings as well. Naruhodō-sama, this one here. This looks like an ad. Invitation to the Red-Headed League. What's this ad doing in a place like this? Perhaps this room's owner was interested in it as well. Excuse me. May I have a moment? Master Gregson. Master Gregson. He's so upset that he doesn't seem to like he's in any state to investigate properly. Excuse me. May I have a moment? I can't see anything through these blasted tears. Maybe I should just let him have a good cry for a while. There's a pistol? There is a pistol. I'm willing to bet that this was the murder weapon. Is this a real gun? I'm not sure. We don't get the opportunity to hold real pistols back home after all. Go on, Naruhodō-sama. Fire off a test shot to find out. That's a terrible idea. If I did that, I need a skilled defense attorney of my own. Maybe I should try asking someone who knows about guns. Murder weapon. A pistol found lying on the floor at the crime scene on Fresno Street that was used as the murder weapon. I'd like to avoid touching it if at all possible. Huh? What's this? It looks like a London Beat officer. It's kind of cute. The fact that it was lying here must mean that it belonged to the victim. Maybe? You're right. I can't imagine Lord Van Zeeks owning a toy like this. A little figurine, about 8 centimeters tall. Maybe it fell out of his pocket? Well, we found it, so we might as well make a note of it, just in case. Good idea. It's kind of cute. Policeman figure. A small figurine of policeman found at the crime scene at Fresno Street. It's kind of cute. The ancestor of Blue Badger! This must be the victim's outline. Yes, they likely laid the rope down so that it mimicked the shape of the victim's body. It looks like they already carried the Detective Sama's body away. I bet Dr. Sif would have been the one to examine it normally. As far as I can tell from the shape the rope is laid in, the victim died curled up on his side. What's wrong, Naruhodō-sama? Your face looks a touch green. No, it's just... Even just seeing that rope outline made me imagine a terrifying scene. And look, there's a little blood on the floor too. I suppose you're right. Perhaps this actually makes a person imagine something more fearsome than seeing the real body. Usato-san sure is strong. He has a red wig here. I guess he was investigating something with that red-headed ad. Why else would that be there? Actually, there's something that's been bothering me this whole time. Yes, me too, actually. This is a wig, right? Yes, you're right. And not only that, it's a bright red wig. So then, does the fact that it's lying here mean that Detective Gregson was wearing it? And this blazing red color. Yeah, I feel like we just saw this color somewhere recently. Yes, I'm incredibly curious. A red wig. A bright red wig found lying at the crime scene on Fresno Street. Maybe it belonged to Detective Gregson with a question mark. Look at this candle holder. One of the candles burst open. Yes, there's wax splattered on the wall behind it. It must be because it was hit by a bullet? Oh, Sherlock. It could have passed through Gregson-sama's body and hit the candle. That seems the natural explanation. Ugh. Thinking about it that way makes this wax look like blood. Poor Naruhodō! Candle holder. A candle holder fixed on the wall of the crime scene at Fresno Street. One of the candles burst open. Excuse me, may I have a moment? Master Gregson, I'll see to the future of the yard for you, okay? Oh my god, all these officers! He seems to be pondering something very serious. These windows were roughly boarded up after the glass broke and fell out. Maybe they can't even be called windows anymore. But the windows in Soseki-sama's rooms were blocked with bricks. These might be better since light can still get... Let's just leave it at that, shall we, Susato-san? I know he doesn't live here anymore, but it still makes me feel sorry for him. Aww! Oh. Poor Soseki. What are we looking at this thing here? This is a cute little figurine, but his head looks a little worn. Setting his cuteness aside for a moment, you're right. There's quite a bit of damage to the head. It's almost like it's been grabbed and manipulated over and over. Shall we try grabbing and manipulating it too? Whoa, this is... As far as I can tell, it looks like a simple key. It's pretty small. Probably not the key to a door. Wonder what it goes to. If you twist the head, a key pops out from the bottom of the feet. Interesting. This is a key, right? Yes, probably. A very small and simple key. A policeman figurine that happened to be hiding a key, huh? I wonder what it's for. I always wonder what the underside of a wig looks like. Somehow it seems very like you to be curious about the underside of things. Could you not word it so that I sound like some kind of weirdo? You probably paint a bunch of bird lime on here before you can put it on, so it doesn't blow off in the wind. If you did that, I think it would be very difficult to remove. There's a black stain left here. It appears to be burnt up gunpowder. So then, I guess the bullet must have hit it. I mean, the end of the cannon was blown off. Yes, perhaps that is what happened. It's quite unusual for crimes to be committed using guns back home in Japan, so I'm afraid I don't know much about guns. Okay, we're talking to Gina now. Gina. Detective Gregson. So, why was Detective Gregson? That's what I want to know. It's been about 6 months since I was released from the detention center. I was a pickpocket, but I was thinking about becoming a detective. And you were able to start job shadowing the detective thanks to Holmes-san blackmailing him, right? I guess. So I didn't really get a chance to learn that much about the boss, but apparently he was considered kind of a legendary detective at the yard. Legendary? I heard he used to solve incredible cases like they were nothing back in the day. Wow. Since then, he's been pursuing cases completely by himself. The boss was investigating some cases that even the yard doesn't know about. That sounds pretty extreme. I wonder what a legendary detective like that was doing in a room like this. The boss respected the Grim Reaper, and yet he... It's just horrible. Respected? The boss told me. He said, I really respect him. Even though the rest of the world fears him and calls him the Grim Reaper. That's precisely why, he told me. So Detective Gregson respected the Grim Reaper, huh? The boss also told me this. The Grim Reaper only goes after bad guys, so you just relax and live your life. Hearing that kind of helped me relax. I see. The crime scene. So, about the crime scene, whose room is it? Apparently, the name of the bloke renting it is Hugh Bone. Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone-sama. There's something about that name that makes him sound lighter than air. Okay. Let me copy-paste the name in. Is that so? That was Naruhodō that was talking. Oops. I think I made him sound like Susato. My man. But I guess no one knows who he is. So far, we haven't managed to get in touch with him. No one knows who he is, huh? True. As far as I can tell from looking at this room, there doesn't seem to be any traces of anyone having lived here. I'll say, we all came and pushed our way in and fired up to do a big investigation, but there's so little to investigate that we're sort of at a loss. I had a thought. What is it, Susato-san? What if this Hugh Boone's real identity was Detective Gregson himself? What do you think of that? Eh? What do you mean? It's just that apparently Gregson-sama was conducting private investigations, so I thought perhaps he might be using this place as a sort of secret base. I see. I hadn't thought of that. Wow, you're really something. Actually, the yard is pursuing that possibility as well. Really? When you look closely at this room, there are signs that might have been the case. I guess we better do some careful looking too. The murder. So that's where Gregson-sama had collapsed. Looks that way. According to what I heard earlier, the boss was shot once with a pistol. The bullet passed through him and hit the candle holder. True. One of the candles has been burst open. Ah, I got a dog on me! He wants my attention! Help! 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 You're not Toby! You're Coco! Oh, I'll be right back. I want to know what the heck this dog wants. I mean, Coco is pretty hyper like Toby. He could. Now I lost track of where I was. Gina is talking. Okay. And there was a pistol lying on the floor, right? That belongs to the Grim Reaper bloke. What? Really? How can you tell? It's nothing to get shocked about. But everyone's saying it. I don't know much about pistols myself. You should try asking someone who knows more about them. Like one of the higher-up police officers. One of the higher-up police officers, huh? Do we know someone like that? Anyway, below that window is the Fresno Street pavement. And when the murder happened, some outdoor vendors heard the gunshot. Huh? But I don't see any such people here now. Apparently, they were taken to the yard for questioning. I mean, the victim was a legendary detective. They're probably being put through the ringer right now. Would it be possible for us to meet the witnesses? Probably not. You two would probably put them through the ringer too, wouldn't you? Guess. I'm sorry, background noises. We'll have to wait. I don't know if it's safe yet, but I'll do my best. Don't worry, I'm gonna add more time since we had to stop, so we'll add a little bit overtime. Duri, I didn't write the script, okay? I didn't write these characters. Freaking Naruhodō. Okay. I guess this means we can't hear what the witnesses have to say. Ah, that's the case that I, Inspector Lestrade, already solved. Was it Homesan who called you to pick up those two criminals? Now look here, Naruhodō. I put a lot of effort into reforming myself from a pickpocket into a detective, you know? So a little sneaky credit stealing like this is cute, wouldn't you say? I don't think that's something you should be saying about yourself. Maybe Iris should start writing a new series if I asked her. The Adventures of Inspector Lestrade. Oh, and here comes the noise again. You know what? I'm gonna stop because we're going somewhere fun in a bit, so whoop. Let me read these next scenes in peace, please. It's the same day, unspecified time, the detention center. Solitary cell number 1. This is a really awkward place to see you, Baroque. Really awkward. Prosecutor Van Zieks. It looks like what we heard about him having been arrested was true. He's leaning against the wall, reading something. Prosecutor Van Zieks. Hi! This is not awkward at all. What a coincidence. Not only am I in a place I least want to be in the entire world, but the person I least want to see has come to visit me here. But I couldn't just not come. We heard about the case that you, that Detective Gregson was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you. Well... If you permit me, that's not true. We owe quite a lot to Gregson-sama. At the very least, we'd like to settle this so that we can be without regrets. Please, cooperate with our investigation. I don't believe there's anything I can tell you, though. It looked like you were reading something at the back of your cell just now. Was it a document related to the case? You mean this? The Yard isn't so lenient as to provide information about the case to the suspect. This is a letter from an acquaintance. An acquaintance? You know him as well. It's from Benjamin Dirtpour. I recall hearing that they were friends from the university. From their university days. Let's work that. That sounds better in English. Okay. Apparently, I ought to finish up with you lot as quickly as possible so I can read my letter in peace. Please, Baroque, you're happy to hear. You're happy we're here. I'll hear you out. I wonder why. His words are as cold as ever, and yet I don't actually feel any coldness from Lord Van Zieks. Hello, Baroque. That leads me to question who the prosecutor is now. I'm not sure if I'm happy what I'm suspecting at this point. The murder. Prosecutor Van Zieks, please, tell us about the murder. How much do you already know? We know that the crime scene is a small room for rent, and that Detective Gregson was shot there. Also, that you were in the room with him, and you were arrested by the officers who arrived on the scene. We know that there was no one else in the room with you two, and that the witnesses heard a gunshot. Please let it not be ouchy. You're very well informed. I don't believe there's anything I can add that you don't already know. After all, I myself am not sure what happened. Then, what about the gunshot? You didn't fire it, did you? I can't say that shooting detectives I work with is a hobby of mine. I heard the sound that rang out in the room, but before I could look into what had happened, I was arrested by the officers who arrived on the scene. So he doesn't know what happened. What were you doing in that room to begin with, Van Zieks-sama? I don't need to answer that. Huh? After all, you're not my lawyer. His lawyer, huh? We will be soon! Don't be difficult! Your lawyer. By the way, who's going to be defending you at your trial? Someone other than you, I'm sure. Right. So in other words, a decision has yet to be made, correct? I'm certain no defense attorney wants to get involved in the trial of the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper trial. For the course of my career, 19 defendants have been declared not guilty in the trials that I've prosecuted. Of those 19, 16 of them have met unnatural deaths. Perhaps I'll be made to answer for those crimes as well. What? I can assure you that this case is going to be a hassle beyond that which any of those defense attorneys are capable of handling. But hasn't it already been proven that you had nothing to do with those deaths? 10 years have passed since I earned the name Grim Reaper. No one desires to know the Grim Reaper's true identity more than me. However, perhaps I'll meet an end of my own before I ever get the opportunity to learn the truth. Odd. Dirtpour's letter. Dr. Benjamin Dirtpour. He said he was going back to Germany as soon as his trial was over, but his letter was to assure me that he arrived safely. I arranged everything from his ship to his transcontinental railway ticket. This is quite a relief. He should be out of reach of the Grim Reaper now. You mean that the Grim Reaper's influence doesn't extend overseas, correct? Precisely. That hunchback Japanese man is living safe in the great Japanese Empire. That's what you told me the other day. Yes, he's making a healthy living in the great city of Tokyo as an author. And that's why you sent Dr. Dirtpour back to Germany, isn't it? It is. Benny is definitely like a sheepgoat. Well, I believe I've run out of things to say. All you did was stay silent for about 2 seconds. Regardless, I'll be going now. I hate to hold you up. Prosecutor Van Zieks, if you'd like, could you consider letting me defend you? Are you saying you're willing to believe in someone like me? Yes. Since I arrived here in England, I've heard you speak in court so many times. That's how I know that you're not the type to kill anyone. I can't prove that right now with evidence or testimony, though. I'm incredibly grateful. However, I don't believe in anyone. Huh? Not this country's judicial system, nor Scotland Yard. Especially not you, Japanese. Prosecutor Van Zeeks. I have no intention of asking you to defend me. There's a deep darkness lying between me and Lord Van Zeeks. I'd be grateful if you didn't return. That would be a waste of time for both of us. Baroque, don't do this! I think I ought to dig a little deeper into the connection between Lord Baroque Van Zeeks and Detective Tobias Gregson. Fine. Fine. Alright, Baroque. It'll be difficult, I guess. It's the same day, unspecified time. The High Court of Justice. The Chief Magistrate's office. It seems you made it just in time. I chartered a special express train to get me to London. I hear Lord Vortex's voice. He seems to be speaking with someone. We're defending a prosecutor that that has been prosecuting our trials up to this point. And as soon as that scene ends, we get to a scene with a Sogi. I don't like where this is going, but at the same time, this will be epic. Shoot, where did I go? And what of the preparations? I went through all the materials in the train compartment. That's Kazuma-sama. Oh, it's you two. Perfect timing. Right. Perhaps you've heard, a truly terrifying incident occurred today. A murder, committed by the Grim Reaper. Yes. Certainly. You don't believe he actually did it, do you, Lord Vortex? You don't believe that Van Zeek-sama killed Gregson-sama? The only thing I believe in are facts. And as far as I can tell by looking at the facts, we need to indict Lord Van Zeeks as the Grim Reaper who came for our country's legendary detective. But tomorrow is the beginning of the International Scientific Investigation Symposium. Though this pains me greatly, I'd at least like to show the world a swift, fair trial from our nation's courts. So, the trial will start tomorrow. Indeed. This will be a good opportunity. Allow me to introduce you to someone. Yep. Yep. Asogi. Yep. I already know where this is going. Alright, you three already know each other. This is Asogi Kazuma. Tomorrow's trial will be prosecuted by him. Fantastic! Oh my god. I'm not even surprised, but I am at the same time, and I'm also really happy. You know, like, before this game came out, it was just a small crowd of people who were complaining that we wouldn't get a new prosecutor and we would have Baroque again, and I'm sitting here like, dude, we don't know anything about Baroque, okay? We need him to still be a prosecutor. But guess what? We still get a new prosecutor! And it's done really well! Like, there's a reason for him to do it! It's beautiful! I'm so happy! What? Asogi? As you know, he's a very skilled lawyer. Yeah, we do know. Kazuma-sama, a prosecutor. We don't know anything about Baroque, so it's like we need to keep him there. Why would he not? Oh, now he's just standing in the background. This is great. Tomorrow's trial. I'm going to die. As I'm sure you can imagine, tomorrow's trial will be the focus of attention throughout all of London. No, throughout the whole of the Great British Empire. No defendant has ever lived after being prosecuted by the Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. But this time it will be the Grim Reaper himself who's on trial. Yes, the citizens want to know the secret behind the Grim Reaper. The secret to the mysterious deaths of the defendants who'd received not guilty verdicts in his trials.
But Lord Van Six himself said he had nothing to do with any of them.
Besides, a thorough investigation was conducted, and as I recall, he was proven not guilty. You're correct about that. Until now, that is.
Huh?
After tomorrow's trial, I anticipate a new page in the annals of our... Annals of our national legal history. This... why doesn't nobody... No. This is why I try to do the streams in the afternoon, because I don't get bothered in the afternoon. And then it gets closer to the evening, things just kind of... I get constantly interrupted. Asogi the prosecutor. We're all going to die, because I don't know if I want to fight him. Asogi Kazuma will be prosecuting. Precisely.
But Kazuma-sama is a defense attorney.
A truly outstanding lawyer can stand on whichever side of the courtroom he likes. Additionally, he's taking up the prosecution's bench with a full understanding of defense tactics. This is exactly why I don't want to fight him! Awfully formidable, wouldn't you agree? This is like the cool version of Varn Karma right here. That's what's going on here. That's true. It's not hard to imagine Asogi being incredibly skilled even as a prosecutor.
However, why Kazuma-sama? Surely the Great British Empire has other outstanding prosecutions at its disposal.
No, it's not possible. You can't do that, like, in real life. That doesn't work. I requested the position myself. I want to prosecute this trial.
You did? But why?
You'll understand everything tomorrow. I suppose you intend to participate in tomorrow's trial as well. Although, apparently the Grim Reaper has rejected all defense attorneys.
Regardless, the fact that such a request was accepted seems entirely unprecedented. Or perhaps I should say, abnormal.
You are indeed correct. However, the trial itself will be completely unprecedented and abnormal. What? Excuse me? After all, the defendant is the pride of the Great British Empire and an outstanding prosecutor. It would be ill-advised to allow the citizens of London to see us judging our own man. Please! And that's why you're letting Asogi, a foreigner, prosecute him. Naruhodō, it's time you showed me the skills you've sharpened in this foreign imperial city. Asogi, you're not gonna let go of that bloodlust, are you? The murder weapon? Come to think of it, we found the murder weapon lying on the floor at the crime scene. Does it really belong to Lord Van Zieks? You should be able to learn that by asking one of the detectives at the crime scene. Well, you see, I was told that she wasn't sure and that I should ask a higher up.
You just blurted that right out, didn't you, Naruhodō-sama?
That model of pistol is issued to those involved with the police. Naturally, that includes members of the prosecutor's office. What, does Asogi have a gun too? Okay, so he has 2 swords and a gun? Is that how this works? Why does he need 2 swords? Why do you need 2 swords, Asogi?
In that case, wouldn't it be possible that it's actually the victim's pistol?
No, Detective Gregson still had his own pistol on him. And what about Lord Van Zieks' pistol? He says he doesn't have it right now. Look, yeah, I don't want to mess around with Asogi either, because why? According to the man himself, he lost it. To put it another way, he's suspicious. Oh, do they? Fantastic!
But it's only the same model of pistol. That's not proof that it's actually his.
True. There's no proof. Sounds like Lord Van Zieks is in a pretty painful situation. No! This trial is gonna be really stressful, isn't it? Really stressful. Sorry I worried you, but everything's fine now. Everything's not fine! You left the trial 8 days and disappeared from London when you had 2 best friends here who could probably help you out. I have many feelings. Have you regained all your memories? Really? Really? I'm sorry, I gotta get up and walk. I'm walking, hold on. I didn't ask for them to play this song. Thanks to you, I've remembered everything. Including what I came to this Imperial City to do. Huh?
Kazuma-sama. I'm so glad you're alive. But, however did you make it to London without any memories?
I heard a voice. I've been hearing it all year. A single voice in my head this whole time. Go to the Great British Empire. Your mission is waiting for you there. I wound up here in London, as if guided by that voice.
Oh, you poor thing.
How? You know, I think Nocturne plays so much now, like I don't... Asogi's normal theme doesn't play anymore, I swear. It's true that my memories have returned, but I've lost other things that I can't ever get back.
Huh? What do you mean, Asogi?
I'm a member of the prosecutor's office now. That means we can't be on such close terms anymore. This seems to be the extent of the information I can get from here, for now. Well, Lord Vortex, thank you very much. I'm sure tomorrow's trial... I'm sorry, I started laughing because I was reading your comments. I'm sure tomorrow's trial will make English legal history. You might as well take this opportunity to learn a thing or two from the gallery. Hell no, we're gonna be defending! Because this is how Ace Attorney works. In that case, we'll be excusing ourselves now. Hey! One moment, Naruhodō.
Asogi.
Let me say just one thing before you go. I'm grateful to you.
Kazuma-sama.
You took my mission to heart and crossed the great ocean to get here. And you fulfilled your role splendidly.
To study law in the Great British Empire in order to change the Japanese judicial system. That was your dream. That was what you set out to do.
I'm very sorry. There are far too many distractions right now. I'm mostly mad because the distractions are happening while there's a good scene going on. So it's kind of ruining the mood of it a lot, and I apologize. Yes, you get to get Asogi's theme, and you get to get his beautiful, beautiful face right on the screen. It's beautiful. I'm still waiting, sorry. Please, please, no more interruptions until I finish this session, for the love of God. And now, I have one more thing that I must do.
Huh?
I have a favor to ask of you, Naruhodō. But what is it? I want you to bear witness to the verdict of the trial that I'm going to prosecute tomorrow. From right across from me, the defense bench.
What's he planning?
Now that you've made it to this point, I'm sure you can do it. But there's no way Lord Van Zieks will let me defend him. That's where you're wrong. He accepts you. It's not always easy to see what's truly in a person's heart. Look at this.
This is... Van Zieks-sama and Detective Grayson-sama.
Oh, the happy picture. It looks like a pretty old picture. I wonder who this other man is. It was lovingly displayed in that detective's office. In Detective Gregson's office? If you claim to believe in that Grim Reaper, then you have to face this head on. It might change things. Take it. Gregson's photo. A memorial photo said to have been lovingly displayed in Detective Gregson's office. I am too! Isn't it great? Why are you giving me this? Hurry, Naruhodō. The visiting hours at the detention center are nearly over. Sogi. Oh, I guess I'll have time to go into the trial. I want to experience some fun animations with him. Oops. I can't do that yet, so let's go... I guess I'll have time to do the trial. A little bit of it, anyway. Oh, jeez. Okay. Same day, unspecified time to the detention center. Solitary cell number 1. Looks like Prosecutor Van Zeeks is still reading his letter.
I feel like quite a bit of time has passed since our last visit.
Either he's a surprisingly slow reader or the letter is surprisingly long. Maybe I'm faster at reading and writing in English than he is. I intended to ignore you completely, but... I think your last comment crossed the line, Japanese boy. Sorry. You heard that? I was reading over these case files I had secretly delivered here in order to stave off boredom.
Your trial is tomorrow, isn't it?
That's none of your concern. So, did you find a lawyer? Don't make me repeat myself. It's none of your concern. Looks like he still hasn't chosen anyone.
It seems that the prosecutor for tomorrow's trial has been selected.
I can't say I'm surprised, though I haven't been informed of who it will be. The prosecutor in charge will be Asogi Kazuma. Did you say Asogi? Lord Van Zeeks. I guess even he's shaken. It would seem that I need to hear what you have to say once more. Asogi in katakana. Okay. 10 years ago, my elder brother, the High Prosecutor, was murdered. And the identity of the scum responsible was an exchange student from the Far East. Asogi. Not a day has gone by that I've been able to forget that name.
Asogi Genshin. Kazuma-sama's father.
But a twist of fate. To think that 10 years later, I'd find myself in a kangaroo court prosecuted by his son. Lord Vortex put him at your side as your apprentice. This is him we're talking about. I'm sure he knew that man's identity all along.
I wonder what Vortex-sama's intentions was.
That's what I'm wondering about. Sogi just regained his memory after that trial 8 days ago. Why would Lord Vortex allow him to prosecute in that state? Asogi, huh? That name is like a curse to me. Curse known as the Japanese. The Japanese. The curse known as the Japanese. It happened 10 years ago, when I was a newly minted prosecutor. My brother Clint was the High Prosecutor at the time, and was hot on the trail of that serial killer.
You mean the professor?
And the person working with him on the investigation as his partner was that legal studies exchange student dispatched by Scotland Yard.
By which you mean Asogi Genshin, right?
Precisely. Genshin possessed a spirit of nobility, unlike that of our knights, and I respected that. However, none of us were able to see him for what he really was. The conclusion of that trial robbed me of everything that mattered to me. The brother I respected. The man I believed in. Even justice.
How terrible.
In order to avenge my brother, I prosecuted Asogi's trial. Normally, such a thing would never have been allowed, but I begged to be made the prosecutor in charge.
The prosecutor in charge?
The leading investigative authority in the professor's murders was Lord Heart Vortex. Let's keep piling up more suspicion on Mr. Vortex.
What? Lord Vortex?
At the time, he was an outstanding authoritative prosecutor. He allowed me to take the prosecutor's bench in his place and assisted me. Since then, he's been the only person I could call a benefactor.
I'm sure he was persuaded by your passion.
Then time passed. This year, you arrived here in our imperial capital. But, and as a defense attorney, of all things, I was actually aware of your hatred in the first trial I defended for.
Your intense hatred toward the Japanese.
I realize it's an irrational emotion. However, regardless of how many years pass, I simply can't rein in this hatred.
Now that I understand the reason, I can't say I blame you.
Just as the Japanese are like a curse to me. Yosogi Kazuma. I'm the Grim Reaper who robbed his father of his life. I'm sure tomorrow's trial will be used in order to get his revenge against me. Yeah! Yeah! It's gonna be really heated. Detective Gregson. His transfer to the Parisian police had finally been set for next month, and it's just around the corner. No doubt he would have been filled with regret.
Come to think of it, I do recall Detective Gregson mentioning that.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Sorry, I'm losing my spot here.
Is that a regular occurrence? Overseas transfers, I mean.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Huh?
The Paran police accepting an English detective. Inconceivable. Just what sort of sorcery did Gregson use in order to pull this off? Looks like this is a great enough mystery to even puzzle the Grim Reaper.
By the way, we feel we've done him a disservice by not being aware, but we heard recently that Detective Gregson-sama was legendary within Scotland Yard.
Oh, bless, his theme is playing! It was 10 years ago that he really started making a name for himself. He revealed the true identity of the professor with a piece of decisive evidence. The thing that allowed him to discover that evidence was a certain viewpoint of his.
Viewpoint?
When Clint was killed, he insisted an autopsy was performed on the body.
What? Autopsies were being performed 10 years ago? What do you mean?
At the time, autopsies were considered desecration of the dead and were rarely performed. Not only that, but Clint was an aristocrat. Performing an autopsy was unthinkable. However, in the process of his private investigation, Gregson caught wind of something. His belief swayed the House of Lords, and I was able to avenge my brother.
So then, you must have trusted Detective Gregson, right? And that means there's no way you would have murdered him.
I don't trust anyone.
Huh?
And I'm sure Gregson felt the same towards me. He likely saw me as nothing more than a sinister Grim Reaper.
Prosecutor Van Zieks and Detective Gregson. What was their relationship really like?
I mean, we got a photo of it! Lord Van Ziek's pistol. About the pistol that was discovered at the crime scene. Right. That's not mine.
But everyone's saying it is.
How do you expect me to react to that information?
According to what we heard from Vortex-sama, you lost yours.
Embarrassing as it is, that's the truth.
When did you lose it?
I don't know.
Huh?
I was given that pistol when I was made a prosecutor 10 years ago, but I put it away somewhere. At some point, it vanished. Oh!
Somehow, I'm reminded of careless Naruhodō-sama.
Hey! Don't use me as a point of reference out of nowhere like that. Pardon me, but I appreciate if you didn't put me on the same level as this Japanese boy. Children, please, calm down.
It looks like the gulf between you two is just as deep as I feared.
It's not proof or anything, but it sure doesn't help. Boys, let's just sit down and have a cup of tea. We'll be fine, okay? It'll be fine.
Prosecutor Van Zieks, about this.
This photo. It was taken when I received my letter of appointment as a prosecutor. I'd never have imagined that there was still a copy floating around.
This person standing on the left, is he...
Clint Van Zieks, my brother.
Okay, the man on the left is Lord Clint Van Zieks. So I was right. I heard that this photo was lovingly displayed on Detective Gregson's desk. He really respected you. Did you know that?
He respected me. That's ridiculous.
I can get a witness who can testify to that. One by the name of Inspector Gina Lestrade, excuse me.
That's right. I remember now. There was a time when things were like this. A time when we stood side by side, laughing together as we discussed the future of our judicial system. I'm glad you showed me this. Thank you.
I can't help feeling like I'm the one who got shown something good. Something in Prosecutor Van Zieks' eyes lit up for a moment and told me the story of the true nature of the man they call the Grim Reaper.
Mr. Naruhodō.
He said his name! Oh, bless!
Hell, that's frozen over! That's the first time he's ever called me by my name. I don't trust the English judicial system. Not the police, nor prosecutor. nor defense attorneys. However, naturally, even among those, there are some who deserve to be trusted. Trust? I can tell when I face them in court. I know what the eyes of someone who selflessly seeks the truth looks like.
Lord Van Zieks.
This year since I've met you, we've exchanged countless words in the midst of our battles in the Supreme Court. And in the process, I came to realize that I had no choice but to accept you, even as I told myself I couldn't. I accepted that this defense attorney, in spite of being Japanese, whom I hated, was worthy of trust. I knew two other men with eyes like yours. One of them was my elder brother, Clint Van Zieks. The other was Asogi Genshin.
A man he used to respect. And a man who betrayed his trust, huh?
When you showed me that old photo a moment ago, I remembered.
You mean this?
The reason I was able to smile so innocently back then was because I was still able to trust people. I feel as though that's what allowed me to believe in what the future had in store and keep my eye fixed straight ahead. You trust no one. You can't be betrayed. However, you stop trusting, trap yourself in the darkness, and become unable to move forward.
Lord Van Zieks.
Mr. Naruhodō. Right now, just this once, I want to try putting my faith in what I see in your eyes. Might I ask you to defend me in my trial tomorrow? Oh my god! Oh my god! That was a beautiful exchange of words! Oh! Oh, goodness.
Of course, Lord Van Zieks. Gladly. Naruhodō-sama.
I'm counting on you. Wow, that scene was beautiful. Oh, man. I have Doki Dokis here. Well, I mean, I could be screaming too, but I'm just like, I need to keep reading and keep a straight face as best as I can.
I'm sure that to Lord Van Zieks, that required an unimaginable amount of resolve. So I have to make sure not to let him down. Tomorrow in the Supreme Court, where Asogi Kazuma awaits me.
And guess what? I still got a bit of time, so I guess we'll keep going. For a little bit. Just for a little bit. That exchange was so beautiful. I felt something in my heart. Bless you, Baroque. Alright. Let's go right into the trial then, shall we? Yes. Into Hell's Fire. November 2nd, 8:56 a.m. in the Old Bailey's Defendants Lobby.
The air here in the Supreme Court feels crushingly heavy again today. I feel overwhelmed. No, that's not quite right. I kind of feel like today, my nerves are even more overwhelming than usual. Perhaps those nerves.
Yeah. They're likely because of the stifling air brought about by this overwhelming defendant. No, Naruhodō! Don't be rude.
We're so sorry. So sorry.
But it does seem that today's trial will be different from the norm. different. How do you mean? I don't know all the details, however. I heard that no jurors were selected for today's trial.
A trial? Without jurors? But that sounds just like the trial that the professor was given 10 years ago.
Top secret trial, huh? Hey, good morning, folks!
Home-san.
Whoa, folks, my hair has returned to normal! Chalk up another victory for science! To be honest, so much happened yesterday that I'd completely forgotten about that hair. Ha! It might just be that hair to you, but I gulped down so many suspicious chemicals trying to get it to change back to normal. I've been feeling nauseous all morning, folks. Holmes! Holmes!
Oh my, you poor thing.
I can't think of any way to look at it that makes it anything other than your own fault. Hey there, Reapy! Can't tell you how glad I am to see you're looking so well today. You seem to be keeping busy yourself, famous detective. Oh, little old me? I should think that the 2 or 3 trifling cases I've solved is far less threatening to London's criminals than the mere existence of the Grim Reaper. Now you two behave! I can't say I agree with all your methods per se, but I have at least give you credit on one point. What an honor. And what point might that be? Your taste in defense attorneys.
Home-san.
After all, the defense attorney has me behind him. What do you mean by that? It means that you better prepare yourself, Reapy. Excuse us.
Gina-san.
Everyone fights for Naruhodō's love. He's so shippable. That thing around her arm must be a sign of mourning, huh?
Father, what about the symposium?
The symposium has been postponed, so I've suddenly got some free time in my schedule. I thought I'd accompany the inspector here to see the trial led by our country's exchange students. I'm looking forward to seeing the progress you've made over this past year.
Thank you very much.
The progress I've made, huh?
Naruhodō.
Yes, Gina-san?
Why? Why do you accept this guy's defense request? The Grim Reaper killed my boss. That's what everyone's saying.
Gina, I thought you'd learn at this point, don't listen to anyone. I'm sorry, Gina-san. I don't think that's what happened.
Then who did?
I don't know yet.
They call him the Grim Reaper, but he's still just a normal human. Whoever killed my boss is going to have to answer to me.
That look in your eyes. You go ahead and hate the murder for the depths of your heart. For Gregson's sake.
Huh?
That's the only comfort that can be offered to the dead. No, not this again! I hate this animation.
Please, Naruhodō. Avenge my boss. Gina-sama. I hate to admit it, but there's nothing I can do. So, you've got to find the murderer and make sure they're caught.
Defendant, defense! It's almost time for the trial to convene. Proceed to the courtroom immediately. It's finally time, huh?
let's be off. Bansik-sama. Naruhodō-sama.
A man who had his beloved brother stolen from him by a serial killer. A man whose father was stolen from him by a foreign judicial system. A girl who lost a benefactor who gave her a future. The cause and effect of all that, and the sadness it's brought, all comes together in this trial. This is the time to shine light into that darkness. No matter what facts are lurking there. We can't allow ourselves to avert our eyes from it.
Breathe. Breathe. Game face on. Super game face on. Oh, I'm shaking though. This is only case 4, but I'm shaking.
Same day, 9:20 in the morning, Old Bailey Supreme Court. No jurors.
Nobody in there, actually!
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now declare court to be in session. For the trial of the defendant, Baroque Van Zeeks. Allow me to ask the prosecution and defense. Are you both prepared to make your cases?
The defense is ready. Oh wow, right! Naruhodo doesn't have his sword now. He's gonna have some new stuff, won't he? The prosecution is also ready.
Kazuma-sama.
I've been waiting for the day when you return to the courtroom. I never imagined it would be on the other side, at the prosecution's bench.
The Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. The deep darkness that the great British judicial system has been so far unable to penetrate.
You know what's great though about Asogi being the prosecution? I don't have to make really bad British accents. I can just talk normally. It's great.
Perhaps in today's trial we'll finally begin to explore that darkness.
In other words, this trial. Yeah, I think they got lazy and didn't bother to change. Well, yeah. There are actually, no, never mind. I mean, like, Sherlock and the others are also in the gallery, so. Okay, this trial is intended to examine more than just the death of Detective Gregson.
I don't know what sort of influence the facts that come to light will have on the English judicial system. Therefore, this trial has been classified as top secret, and its proceedings will not be made public. This is a decree from Her Majesty the Queen.
A top secret trial.
All decisions pertaining to the trial will be made by the presiding judge. Therefore, today, we will have no one filling the jurors' seats.
This is interesting.
Unpublicized? Then who are in the gallery? Members of our nation's fair judicial system. They will be the observers in this trial.
Members of the judicial system. Everything about this trial is awfully unorthodox. Yeah, I'm shaking here. I'm shaking with anticipation and also, what the heck?
And there's one final factor that ought to make this trial incredibly fascinating. That is the fact that both the prosecution and defense are both foreigners.
There are some things that are easier to see as an outsider. That's what I believe. And now that I stand here, it's become clear to me. The reason I'm in this country is to prosecute this trial. Asogi.
In that case, let the trial begin. Prosecutor Asogi, your opening statement.
Ooh, that rolled off my mouth so weird.
And now we have interruptions again. That came off, that prosecutor Asogi rolls off really weird. That's, ooh, gives me chills. That's just not right.
I'm just gonna wait until the interruption passes. Man, how do you think I feel? I gotta be the one who has to read these lines, so I gotta say Prosecutor Sogi over and over again. Good times. Good times. Also, please look forward to new Sogi animations. Certainly, Your Honor. The murder occurred on November 1st, just after 5 p.m. The crime scene was outside of London, on the back alley of Fresno Street. The victim's body was discovered in the room of an old apartment building.
Detective Tobias Gregson. That's a name I know well. After all, he was the one who led the case 10 years ago to being solved.
The professor's case.
Hello! I'm only streaming for like another half hour though. Are we certain about the time at which the murder occurred? The testimony of the people out on the street who heard the gunshot all agreed on that point. Sounds like Gino-san was right about there being witnesses. Now then, I would like the court to take a look at this diagram of the crime scene. The victim was lying curled up in the corner of the room. He was shot head-on at point-blank range, and we can assume that he was killed instantly by the bullet.
And how do we know it was point blank?
There were traces of black burn marks around the victim's wound. They were clearly left by a gunpowder explosion. In order for a gunpowder explosion to leave traces, the barrel of the gun would need to have been fired at a point-blank range of no more than a few inches.
I see. The court understands the situation.
We know bits of stuff because of live blogs, but like, for the most part, I don't have all the context. I only know certain things. The autopsy report. Detective Gregson's autopsy report. Died instantly due to a bullet fired at point-blank range. Additionally, the murder weapon, this pistol, was found lying next to the body.
Has the pistol owner been identified?
No, they haven't.
That's Kazuma-sama for you. It seems as though he's determined to refrain from making assumptions without hard evidence.
Well, thank you, Asogi, for not claiming it's Baroque's, actually. Now then, as I was saying, the pistol was fired at a very close range to the victim. The bullet passed through the victim's body and hit the wall behind him. The wall had a candle holder fixed to it, and one of the candles in it was found to have had the end blown off.
We saw the candle holder as well, didn't we?
We did.
I see. The court understands. The prosecution will submit that diagram as evidence.
As you wish. Crime scene diagram. A diagram of the apartment on Fresno Street where Detective Gregson's body was discovered. Oh no, trust me, I'm still enjoying myself because I read those live blogs like ages ago, so I don't even remember all the details anymore, and there's still new stuff I'm learning just from playing through this game.
An apartment of Fresno Street. Was that Detective Gregson's residence?
It's like, how do I explain it? It's a different experience when you actually can play the game yourself versus reading a live blog, basically. It's just different. No, Your Honor. The renter is a man by the name of Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone? Hugh Boone. The crime scene was a small, desolate room with no substantial furniture. What was Detective Gregson doing in a room like that?
Perhaps he was investigating a case.
Those who heard the gunshot reported it to the police when the officers arrived on the scene. They found the detective's body, and the defendant standing over him, holding the pistol. The officers arrested the defendant on the spot.
The situation sounds abundantly clear.
In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness to the stand.
Who is this witness?
Naturally, it's the defendant himself. You mean Lord Van Zeeks? In spite of his flaws, he is a prosecutor. It's his duty to report his own actions correctly.
Very well, defendant. Take the stand.
Now then, defendant, state your occupation and name. Baroque Van Zeeks. I'm a prosecutor of Old Bailey.
Lord Van Zeeks, I'm sure you heard Prosecutor Asogi's opening statement.
Yes.
You were present at the crime scene when the murder occurred, and you were arrested by the officers who arrived on the scene. Are those statements correct?
They are correct. In any case, defendant, let's hear what you have to say for yourself. Why were you on Fresno Street at the time of the murder? And what happened at the crime scene while you were there? I don't intend to just say anything. I only intend to state the truth.
Lord Van Zeeks, I never imagined that this day would come. No, I guess that's not quite right. Ever since you gained the nickname the Grim Reaper, I have expected that a day like this might come eventually. Now then, your testimony.
The truth regarding the murder. I was investigating Gregson. That's when I discovered that room. When I arrived at the room that day, it was dark inside, and I couldn't see anyone in there. That's when I heard a gunshot from within the room. I turned around, and that's when I noticed the pistol on the floor. When I picked up the pistol, the door burst open violently, and I heard a man scream. Why hasn't anyone in Ace Attorney learned not to pick up pistols lying around? The next thing I knew, Detective Gregson's body was lying before me. Was that testimony the so-called truth? It was. A gunshot rang out through the empty room. And the next thing you knew, the body just appeared in front of you? That's too weak to count as a statement, or even as an excuse. You were so quiet as my apprentice, and yet... That's quite a sharp tongue you have, Prosecutor Asogi. Oh! Fight, 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 fight!
It is indeed an incredibly strange situation.
It's less an issue of it being strange, and more an issue of it being illogical nonsense. Asogi, what's going on with him? There's something about him today that seems off. Well, I mean, he's prosecuting the guy that prosecuted his father and condemned him. I mean, understandably, he's kind of, a little, yeah.
Very well. The defense may go ahead with its cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. If he's a little unhinged, it's understandable. Oh! Oh, that cut in. Oh, bless that cut in. That Naruhodō versus Asogi cut in. Bless. I'm gonna get a screenshot of that later. He was investigating Gregson and he discovered that room. You were investigating Gregson? What for? I'm afraid I can't say. Eh? There was a possibility that that detective participated in a certain incident. However, before I could gain any decisive evidence, someone took his life.
So then, on the day of the murder, you followed the victim to the crime scene.
No. Actually, I looked into his plans ahead of time.
His plans?
I infiltrated his office at the yard and looked through his investigation activity records. The time, 5 p.m., and the address to the building of Fresno Street were recorded there.
Infiltrating a detective's office. That's a serious offense on its own in Japan.
Naturally, it's the same in our country. Isn't that right, Lord Fanseeks?
I was fully aware of the repercussions. Allow me to confirm once more. You were investigating the victim. However, you can't divulge the reason for that. Quite a self-serving testimony from the high and mighty English prosecutor. I can't even dispute that. Rip? It was dark inside and I couldn't see anyone in there. Okay. By the way, had you ever been into that room before? Certainly not. It was only while I was conducting my investigation of that room that I learned of that room's existence. Excuse me. It was my time visiting the room, and there were no lights inside. I suppose you could say I couldn't see a thing.
But at 5 p.m. during this season, the sun shouldn't have set yet.
The windows of that room were boarded up, which blocked out the light. A small amount of light was able to enter through the cracks, but it was very dim. Even if the body had been there the whole time, I doubt I would have noticed it.
So there was no light at the crime scene. Is that correct?
At the very least, the corner where the body was dark. However, I feel as though there might have been a small lamp on the desk which was lit.
Look at this, Naruhodō-sama. There is indeed a small desk.
Yeah, and it had a lamp and a standing picture frame on it, didn't it? I entered the room, shut the door, and headed over to the desk, intending to search it.
Was there anything in the desk?
I wasn't able to search it. I tried to make my way to the desk, but... I heard a gunshot from within the room. I turned around and I noticed the pistol on the floor.
A gunshot? And who fired it?
I don't know. I didn't see anyone else in the room.
But it was dim in there, right?
Indeed it was, but... at the very least, I didn't sense that anyone was there.
What if... maybe you heard the gunshot from outside the room?
Impossible.
Huh?
The sound definitely came from within the room. I could smell the gunpowder as well.
The more I hear, the less I understand.
And it was after that you noticed the pistol on the floor, correct? The fact that I picked it up without thinking was a failure on my part as a prosecutor. What is with everyone picking up drop pistols? Like, seriously.
In other words, the gunshot you heard was the sound of that pistol being fired.
That wasn't the case.
Huh?
The gun was stone cold when I picked it up, and it didn't smell of gunpowder.
Oh no, the baby slaps are back. So then, what happened to the pistol that was fired?
I apologize deeply, but I'd like to know that myself.
Wow, this is a tough one. This is not good.
I picked up the pistol, the door burst open violently, and I heard a man scream.
A man? Was that one of the witnesses?
Precisely. He was one of the Fresno Street vendors.
And who was it?
On the street directly below the crime scene was a line of peddlers selling their wares. A match seller, an intelligence vendor, and an advertiser. They heard the gunshot and instinctively rushed to the scene. That's what they testified.
I believe Gina-sama said that very thing yesterday.
Apparently, they burst in on the crime scene with such vigor that they nearly broke down the door. To be honest, I thought my heart was going to stop. Even though he's the Grim Reaper. The man I saw the pistol in my hand, and the man saw the pistol in my hand and dashed off again at once. And the officer patrolling Fresno Street heard the commotion and arrested the defendant at the crime scene immediately after the murder occurred. In any case, I was startled by the man's scream and looked reflexively in his direction. Rexon's body was lying before me. What do you mean, the next thing you knew? I don't understand it clearly myself. However, it's the truth. Suddenly the body, which I'm sure wasn't there before, was just lying there on the floor. Dead. When that happened, did you hear the sound of the victim collapsing or anything? The only thing I heard at the time was the sound of the door bursting open and the scream of the man who entered. I see. Having issues, that's what we're having issues. That's what's going on here. After the man who screamed fled, I examined the body. As hard as it was to believe, it was Gregson's body.
A most curious set of circumstances.
As for how he was killed, or where he was before I noticed him, I'm afraid I don't know. Oh. Surely, we've heard enough. As you've just heard, Your Honor, one thing has become clear thanks to this cross-examination. There it is! I didn't say anything because I had a feeling his song was gonna start. As you've just heard, Your Honor. Oh wait, I'm not there. And that defendant, Baroque Van Zeeks, has told multiple lies.
What? What do you mean? What lies has the defendant told?
The defendant just testified the following. The room, the crime scene, was dark, so I didn't notice the body. That's the truth. However, that's impossible. This candle holder testifies to that. What do you mean? If you look at the end of what remains of the long candle, you can tell that it was broken off by a strong impact.
It was likely hit by the bullet after it had passed through the victim's body.
The problem is that its length is obviously different from the other two candles.
That's true. The broken candle is the only one that's that long.
When lighting candles on a candle holder, one typically lights them all at the same time. So then, what could cause only one of them to be long? Well, obviously it would have to be because just that one ran out before the others. Okay, I'm gonna put a comma there because I did a run on there by accident. Well, obviously it would have to. Because just that one ran out before the others. Oh! Exactly. When the bullet hit the candle, it was the only one that was put out. The other two candles remained lit, which means that the victim's body should have been visible by the light of the other two candles. You claim that you couldn't see the body, Your claim is a contradiction. Ooh, damage. And you told one other lie. There's more? The defendant testified that he'd never been to the crime scene before. That's also the truth. Something strange was discovered at the nearly furnitureless crime scene. One of the walls was plastered with police investigative materials and newspaper articles.
That's two. We examined it during our investigation of the crime scene yesterday as well.
Naturally, the police investigative materials shouldn't have been allowed out of the records room. However, the fact remains that there were case records from various dates. The oldest one was from 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
And all the cases with records posted there have a certain commonality.
Oh, and what might that commonality be?
They were all cases prosecuted by Baroque Van Zieks.
By Prosecutor Van Zieks?
And all those cases received not guilty verdicts, leading to the release of the defendants.
What?
Incidentally, none of those released defendants are still living. Okay, except for a couple. That's because the Grim Reaper came for them and saw them off to the afterlife.
Can't be.
In other words, that room was none other than the Grim Reaper's hideout and his base of operations. The Grim Reaper's hideout? And you expect us to believe that the Grim Reaper himself had never been to the Grim Reaper's hideout? That's unthinkable. You've got it all backwards.
Backwards? How so?
Detective Gregson was investigating the identity of the Grim Reaper. That's when he located that hideout. That's why he was killed. Yes. By none other than the Grim Reaper. Well then! That was... There was no room to rebuttal there! This is what I gotta deal with!
Order! 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 Very well. Allow the court to state its opinion on the proceedings thus far. Lord Baroque Van Zieks is an outstanding prosecutor and the pride of the great British Empire. However, unfortunately his testimony does not make sense, and Prosecutor Asogi has revealed several contradictions within it.
All I am guilty of is stating the facts as I know them. That's Asogi Kazuma for you. A prosecutor who's intimately familiar with defense tactics. Makes for an intimidating opponent. No shit!
Prosecutor Asogi, kindly submit the bulletin board you showed earlier into evidence. The court believes it will be vital evidence to proving the existence of the Grim Reaper.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Bulletin board! Case records of all the victims taken care of by the Grim Reaper are plastered all over it. But yeah, Asogi does seem to be jumping the bullet here. Now then, the prosecution would like to call some new witnesses to the stand. These witnesses actually witnessed the murder with their own eyes.
They were mentioned in the previous testimony as well, weren't they?
Yes, the man who rushed to the crime scene upon hearing the gunshot.
In that case, escort the witness to the stand. The defendant may stand down.
As you wish. Well, we're off to a really great... Is that a Spella? Beppo? Now then, witnesses, please state your occupations and names for the court.
We don't go no fancy names. We're just a group of free spirits who make their living by selling wondrous wares.
That looks like the design is so Espella.
I gaze in blank excitement at those who traverse Fresno Street and scribble down a piece of poetry. Therefore I am. Beppo? You mean you're all peddlers? Folks call me Gossip. I sell amusing topics to gentlemen I meet along the street.
Amusing topics?
Oh, I just happen to have here the perfect topic for you. 6 pence. I can't go more than a farthing lower than that.
Huh? Are you trying to sell it to me?
What's that greedy looking face you're making, you bastard?
Go on, buy it.
Let's buy it.
Why? What? Stop! What? Even the judge just said buy it. Alright already, I'll buy it.
Adelad! Now listen up. A young wife on Sly Hard Street gave birth to twins.
Please end me. Why did you guys make Naruhodō spend money for that? All of you. Guilty, all of you. Is that it?
Yep. How it grows and spreads now depends on your own skill level.
All my interesting topics are 6 pence apiece.
Hope to see you again soon.
What I'm most interested in is how your lip got to be such a crazy shape. And what the deal is with that bruise I see peeking out around your neck. Oh, I didn't even notice that until you said that. Now then, next witness. Tell us what you're called and what you sell.
Everyone calls me Venus. It's quite troublesome. Recently, I've been doing a little fireworks sales to the neighborhood school students. 6 pence for a string. Can I tempt you?
Why does she like that? Like, no. You sell those little fireworks.
They sell like hotcakes to the local second years, you know? All I have to do is tell them that if they buy 100 of them, they can blow their school to kingdom come.
We can't have that. Also, what?
Anyway, there's 6 pence. Can I tempt you?
Huh? You mean you want me to buy them?
Oh, I know. I'll throw in a little extra tidbit of knowledge for you. If you buy 100 of these, you can blow the Supreme Court to kingdom come.
Buy them and see.
Let's buy them.
Buy them? What the heck, everybody? Everyone's a troll. Everyone's a troll. I want to leave this courtroom now. Right already, I'll buy them. Why is everyone doing this to Naruhodō?
Alright, in that case, here. I've got something special just for you. Here's the Venus Special. Just 600 pence.
600 pence?
It's my normal string of fireworks times 100. Not so little anymore. Are they?
Can we... Guys, why? What does this have to do with anything now? And everyone's just fine with the Supreme Court being blown to bits? Venus fireworks. The Venus Special. 100 for usual 6 pence strings of fireworks. I wonder what kind of noise they... Oh! Oh! These fireworks are gonna play a role later. I see. Dear everyone in this courtroom, don't tell Naruhodō to buy more things. Now then, next witness. The name you're called by and what you sell, please.
I'm just a man who thinks along the roadside. I think, therefore I am, and I'm human. I, who spent my days pondering such things and questioning the world's facts, am known as the Observer. By the way, we all call him Sandwich.
So, what is it that you sell, old man?
I simply provide information to those who cross my path, and give them somewhere to go. I don't actually sell any wares.
How unfortunate. You think I let you talk me into buying any more weird junk? Sogi! Oh!
In any case, this is quite a lot of witnesses, isn't it?
They were out on Fresno Street from morning till night selling their goods. And they all operate in the same place, right outside the apartment building housing the crime scene.
I see. So that's why they all heard the gunshot.
And they rushed bravely to the crime scene and witnessed the murder.
Yep, I sure did. What will become of me after witnessing such a terrible scene? Oh, what I saw was no more than a trick of shadows and light. Therefore, I am. Very well. Now then, the court will hear your testimony. Tell us all what you saw at the time of the murder, and all that you heard.
I'm stopping there. What the shit? What the duck? Okay, we're stopping here tonight. That's it.